Hello, welcome to the Vibrant Health Show. Today's going to be fun. Everyone loves this topic. Every time I teach it, we get tons of good feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and tag everyone and get started. But our topic today, my 5 reasons the scale isn't moving that would be surprising and not necessarily diet and exercise related. The reason I decided, it actually wasn't on my list to do this week, but last week I was talking about intermittent fasting, and multiple people had mentioned that they'd either tried intermittent fasting or they were currently doing it, and the scale just wasn't moving. So I was sending lots of different messages explaining why that could be. And I was like, well, if this many people feel that way, clearly I need to address this and teach an entire topic on this, because it's frustrating. And it happens to a lot of women when you think you're doing the right things, but the weight just won't move. So that's what we're going to hit today. I'm going to teach you the top 5 reasons. Now, there's lots of other reasons, but I'm going to teach you my top 5. And as always, I'm going to give you high-level teaching. I'm going to talk a lot about physiology, but I'm also going to give you practical things that you can leave today and try right away to see if we can't get that scale to start moving in the right direction. So the first thing you need to know about fat cells: weight loss, weight gain, inability to lose weight, especially if you are the person who is already making nutrition changes and moves their body pretty regularly. So this is specifically for that lady who's like, listen, I think I do the right things. I eat pretty clean. I don't eat crazy. I'm trying to exercise and work out. I'm doing everything I think is right, and I still don't see the scale moving the way I want it to. Okay, this video is for that person. If you are the person who eats like crap and you still don't do any type of regular movement, we got to start there, right? So there's lots of videos in the group about easy places to start for food changes, easy things you can do to move your body. If you haven't even started there, that's number 1, right? That's priority. But a lot of you guys, that's not it, right? You feel like you're putting effort in and the scale's not moving. So let's go over those top 5 reasons why that could be happening. Most important thing I want you to learn, number 1, and you hear me probably talk about this a lot, but I think it needs to be resaid. Fat cells are a protective mechanism. Your body puts on fat to protect you from multiple different things, which means no amount of diet, no amount of starvation, no amount of over-exercising is going to get that fat to leave unless you take away the thing it is trying to protect you from. Majority of you sitting out there right now who can't lose weight, the first 3 things I'm going to talk about, one of those 3 things is your reason. It is the reason why your body feels it's necessary to put on weight to protect you. So lesson number 1, every single one of you needs to realize today is those fat cells are doing a job, right? They are doing their job perfectly. You might hate it. You don't want them there. You don't like their job, but it's their job and they're doing it right. So I always like it's like the TSA person at the airport who takes their job really seriously. You know, that person who like going through every little thing of your bag, like making sure everything's spot on. You're like, man, this person is taking their job seriously. And we can get annoyed when we're in a rush because we want to get through TSA, but they're doing their job, they're doing it well, and we need them for our safety to actually do that job, even if it annoys us while they're doing it, right? Your fat cells are the same exact thing as we need them. They're doing the right thing. You have to understand why it's happening so you can correct the problem and get the results that you're looking for. So number 1, I want you to thank your fat cells. Thank you for doing your job. Thank you for being so diligent at keeping me safe. But I'm going to fix the problem so that I no longer need you, and then you can go about your merry way, right? That's what we want to accomplish today. So the first thing I want to talk about is there are 3 reasons primarily that your body puts on fat cells to protect you. Those will be the first 3 topics that we talk about. The first one, I'm going to talk about adrenals, but there's a lot of different things that go into it. So there are 3 primary places that your body makes hormones. Number 1 is from your ovaries and your uterus. So if you've had a hysterectomy, or if you're in menopause, or if you have really weak, just hormones are really weak, you're probably not making a whole lot of hormones from your ovaries and your uterus. The second place your body makes hormones is your adrenal glands. But if you're stressed out, if you're exhausted, if you're too busy, if you've never taken care of your adrenals are probably also not making a whole lot of hormone, which leaves the third place that makes majority of our hormones, which is your fat cells. So ladies, if you have a hormone imbalance, if you've had a hysterectomy, if you're going through perimenopause or menopause even, and you're not properly supporting your hormones, the hormonal imbalance could be a reason why your body needs more fat cells. If you are stressed, if you have not taken proper care of your adrenals, if your adrenals are way too high or way too low, your body needs fat cells to help you make more hormone. So if you want to release the fat cells, make sure your hormones and your adrenals are balanced. So let's talk number one about adrenals. What happens for a lot of women, we know that our adrenals are primarily responsible for adapting to stress, right, in the environment. And when I talk about stress, I'm always talking about both emotional stress, which is your environment, right? Stuff going on with your family, stuff going on at work, loss, trauma, all of that is a very major emotional stressor to the body that can put pressure on your adrenal glands. But we also have a lot of physical stressors. And somebody who has adrenal issues, it is almost always a combination of both. You have some type of emotional trauma or stressor going on, but you also have other physical stressors that are putting too much pressure on your adrenal glands. And a lot of women, when you really want to lose weight so badly, you are probably actually doing too much. You're putting too much pressure on your adrenal glands. If you are the woman who is working out 5 days a week or more for an hour or more, you are probably doing too much and you're actually hindering your progress, not helping it. If you are constantly going through a strict diet and then falling off track and then putting yourself back on a diet and then falling off track and then putting yourself back on a diet, you are doing too much. That yo-yo, that on and off is too much stress on your adrenal glands. If you are constantly on the go, right? If you're eating quick because you're not sitting down to enjoy your meals, if you have a million things scheduled, if you're always doing something, if you feel overwhelmed and stressed out, you are doing way too much, putting stress on your adrenal glands. And in all three of those situations, too much dieting, over exercising, and being too busy and not prioritizing rest and recovery are reasons why you're gaining weight, not losing weight. But you think by adding more things in, if I could just do more, add another thing, get to the gym one more day this week, I'll feel better. In fact, you probably won't. You'll feel worse, and you're training your brain and your body to say, holy crap, she's beating me up. I better put on some more fat cells because I don't know what she's going to do to me next. So we're going to layer on this protection so I can keep her hormones balanced, so I can keep giving her energy for fuel, so I can protect this lifestyle she's creating that now requires your body to make more fat cells. Think about that. I really want you to reflect on when you're like, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. What's the first thing you do? You restrict your calories and you go work out super hard to try and lose weight. That's not the answer for most of you. If you would just take time to intentionally balance your adrenal glands, whoo, your whole life would change. That is the thing you're missing. So the first thing I recommend is evaluate that part of your life, right? Are you doing too much? I'm going to teach again. It's been a while since I've taught this, but safe amounts and times of exercise for women. I think it's so important to know. That is an entire teaching series on its own. So in the next couple of weeks, I will talk about that much more specifically, but teaching you how to, I still want you to exercise, but I want you to do it safely and what's right for your body, your age, your cycle, where you're at in all of those life changes. There's safe ways to do it, but most of you are not doing that. You're doing way too much. Are you yo-yoing your diet? Are you not prioritizing rest and recovery? That's the first thing I want you to go through in your own mind and decide, like, are these things that are going on in my life? If the answer to any of those are yes, we're going to start to correct those, but I highly suggest you test your adrenal function. One of the things in women's healthcare that is the most poorly managed is the connection between our adrenals, our hormones, and our thyroid. Rarely are all three of them looked at together, and they completely connect, right? They talk to each other on a regular basis. You need all three balanced to feel and look your best. Yet most traditional medicine, they're only looking at your thyroid. You're getting a thyroid medication, and they're probably not dealing a whole lot with your hormones. And rarely did they even test your adrenal glands. So that right there, adrenal function, for probably 60% of you who are struggling right now, it's your adrenal glands. And it's the fact that you haven't tested them properly. We beat them up our whole life, and now we want them to keep working, right? We've never taken care of them. We keep putting stressors on them, and now we're mad that they're not working and that we're gaining weight because our body's trying to adapt to that. Slow down, right? Realize that we have packed probably decades for a lot of us of physical and emotional stressors on our body and our adrenal glands. And for a lot of you, they're just not functioning the way they need to anymore. So I'm going to drop the links below again for my favorite testing, which is the Dutch test, which is hormone adrenal mapping. Looks at inflammatory markers, it looks at neurotransmitters, it looks at vitamin deficiencies. It is my most favorite test across the board for any women, but especially if you are struggling to lose weight and you feel like you're doing all the right things, knowing your adrenal pattern is so important. If you are a woman who has thyroid issues, not only is it important, it's mandatory to know what your adrenals look like, because the number one contraindication, reason you should not be on thyroid medication, is if you have adrenal insufficiency. Yet most of you on thyroid medication, no one's ever tested your adrenal glands, which is insanity to me. But if you have a thyroid problem or you're on thyroid medication, you better make darn sure you're taking really good care of your adrenal glands, because if not, that can cause a whole host of problems all on its own. And if you have hormone issues or have had a hysterectomy, or if you're having abnormal cycles or a hard time through menopause or perimenopause, looking at your actual hormone and adrenal numbers is so beneficial and will give you a lot of answers as to which piece of the puzzle I'm talking about today you need to address the most, right? Because every single one of us probably has one of these that's more important than the other. When you know that about your body, it makes it so much easier to make decisions and ultimately see results, which is what we're all here for, right? But truly, I have tested thousands of Dutch tests, which is the hormone and adrenal mapping. I've looked at over 2,000 Dutch tests, and I would tell you about 60% of the people that I read their Dutch tests, it's an adrenal problem first. So let's start there. Honor your adrenals, stop stressing them out, stop doing too much, and really make sure you know what your adrenal pattern looks like. And I'll drop that link for the Dutch test below if you want to get the testing. Number two, I touched on it briefly, your hormones. And there are two specific hormone patterns that make it really hard to lose weight. Again, why I'm such a big fan of testing your hormones is the symptoms of both of these patterns can sound very similar. So you might think, and I have this happen all the time, I post about estrogen dominance, and I'll get tons of messages being like, oh, I think that's me. I think I have too much estrogen. And we test them. And in fact, it's not even that, it's too little progesterone, but they didn't know. So if you just go based on symptoms, there's a lot of room for error. Testing is always key. But the two main hormone patterns that make it really hard to lose weight, number one is too much estrogen and testosterone in women. It's also, and I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers when I say this, the reason why I am against testosterone pellets for women, fully against it, will never recommend it. That is not my jam. I don't believe it's right for any woman. I know that makes people mad, but here's the reason why. Unless you properly test, not just through blood, not just to take one blood test that says your testosterone's low, here's a bunch of pellets, but actually looking at your hormone pathways to figure out how your body metabolizes hormones, where those hormones are going. If you just see that you have low testosterone and you take a bunch of testosterone pellets, what they don't always tell you is testosterone immediately converts to estrogen. So I've had lots of women be like, oh, my husband wanted me to do these testosterone pellets, or it sounded like a good idea. So I tried it and I felt awful. And once they're in, you can't get them out. That's one of my biggest problems with it, is you put a large amount of stuff in your body just to find out it wasn't right for you. And then you have no choice but to wait until your body gets rid of it. But testosterone becomes estrogen. And too much estrogen creates bloating, creates mood issues, creates weight gain, creates increased risk of cancer and endometriosis and fibroids and all of these things. Yeah, you might have a little bit of elevated sex drive for a few weeks, might feel a little bit better, but ultimately you have to know where your hormones are going to know if that is the right or wrong decision for you. So I'm never a fan of just a bunch of hormone all at one time. Our body wasn't made to know what to do with that. So testing your hormone patterns, you can figure out where can you support healthily and much more naturally to still get the benefit. I still want you to feel better. I want you to burn fat. I want you to have a libido, but I don't want you to have that and put you at risk of cancer and endometriosis and heart disease. Like the trade-off is not worth it, but testing your patterns. And truly, if all you've done to test your hormones is a blood draw, you're missing half the information that you need. Because there's things we can't get through blood that you need to test through urine. Those are called your metabolites, which tell you your hormone pathways. When you see these metabolites, you can actually see, does my body make healthy estrogen Or do I tend to make inflammatory estrogen that's linked to abnormal cell growth? Does my body tend to hold testosterone, or does it filter too quickly to estrogen? Or does it maybe go down to my androgen side, which can create things like PCOS, hair loss on your head, hair growth on your face, abnormal body hair? You get to see pathways, how your individual body is actually converting hormones so that you can make those safe decisions, right? I fully believe women need to balance their hormones, right? You need to work on it. You need to do something to balance them, but you need to do it safely. And it's not worth the temporary benefit you may feel from synthetic hormone to risk the things I see all the time when we get hormone mapping back, really dangerous pathways that you can be making worse. So don't just rush for the quick fix of like, oh, I bet if I do a bunch of hormones, I'll feel better and I'll lose the weight, because they are going to filter down to other areas and become more problematic. So knowing your hormone patterns is going to make such a big difference. In fact, I don't know why, but just this week, I've had multiple people message me in Instagram and TikTok and in my DMs saying that they're doing like a hormone replacement program or a pellet program or high dose progesterone, which seems to be really popular right now. And they're starting to have some really weird symptoms, people having a lot of abnormal bleeding, breaking out, having lots of hormone type symptoms. And the answer for that is because you're giving your body way too much of one single hormone. That's not how this works, right? That's not how our physiology works. All of our hormones are connected. They help make each other. They're connected through pathways, and they speak directly to our adrenals and our thyroid. It is in really getting that communication between your thyroid, your adrenals, and your hormones. I call it the women's health trifecta, because when you get all three of them connected, you win big time, right? That's the trifecta, like in horse racing. But all three of them connected together is the magic sauce. If you are struggling and you cannot lose weight, if you can't get your libido back, if you have no energy, if you feel like you're doing all the right things and nothing's working, it's because one or all three of those pieces is imbalanced for you. Hands down, almost every single time, it is one of those three things or the connection between the three that is creating the problem, not allowing you to get the results that you want. So if you have not looked at your adrenals, if you don't know what your hormone patterns are, or if you're doing a lot of stuff just based on some blood numbers or symptoms and don't feel like you're getting the results or potentially feeling worse, it's time to really look at what more holistic natural options you have and get away from more of the synthetic high dose hormone. In my opinion, is never the right choice. I know that's an unpopular opinion nowadays, but standing by it. So your adrenals, they are protecting you from all the physical stressors, and they need fat cells if they're not working well to keep you balanced. Your adrenals could be the problem. Your hormone imbalance, you have too much hormone, too much estrogen, too much testosterone, or deficient progesterone. Now remember, just because you have low progesterone, the answer isn't take a bunch of progesterone. The answer is, why is my progesterone low? And a lot of people don't realize progesterone is actually directly linked to cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So problem one with the overstress and the overdoing and the too much stuff is actually the same reason why you have deficient progesterone. When you're too stressed, when you're too busy, when you're doing too much strict diets, too much exercise, that alone will tank your progesterone. So as soon as I see a woman with low progesterone, my first question is like, holy crap, like what are all the stressors going on in your life? Because that's the reason your progesterone's low. So correcting the physical and emotional stressors, you can do a whole lot less work to get your progesterone back up. So always asking why, right? We're not just seeing a low number and slamming you full of hormones. We're correcting the reason those are low or high and allowing your body to balance itself safely and naturally. That's the biggest difference between holistic healthcare, like I do, and our more traditional medical system. They will give you something to change a number. Holistic healthcare wants to create balance in the body so that it can itself heal and do the right things. Very different philosophies, which is why sometimes the things I say sound counter to what you've been told or heard before. The philosophies and the mindset behind the two are just so different. So adrenals, doing too much. Most of you are doing too much. Hormones, if you don't know what your hormones look like, every single woman on the planet should know what our hormones look like. We need to, it's necessity for our well-being to know what pathways we have to support for our hormones. And then number 3 reason why your body will create fat cells to protect you. So we said if your adrenals aren't working, we need fat cells to help you maintain hormone. If you have too much or too little hormone or too much estrogen, too little progesterone, your body will also make fat cells to be able to balance that situation. And number 3, if you have bacteria, yeast, or other infections. So if you have gut issues, if you have bloating, if you have skin issues like eczema or psoriasis, if you have fungal, like if you have toe fungus or anything that is indicative that you may have yeast or bacterial overgrowth, if you get UTIs, if you get BV, all of those things, those overgrowths in our body act as a stressor. Your body says, oh crap, we have this bacteria or this yeast or this parasite or this virus or whatever it is, right? A lot of people who have herpes viruses, any of the family of herpes viruses, right? Cold sores, genital, shingles, Epstein-Barr, all of those are herpes family virus. A lot of times your body says, holy crap, we have all these things going on that could be dangerous. What can I do to help absorb some of this stress? Oh, I know, I'm going to make more fat cells so I can soak it all up, so I can hold it in these safe little fat cell jails so that it doesn't circulate to the rest of your body. So in that situation, if this is an overgrowth or an infection or a bacteria that's poorly managed, your body will not lose that weight as long as those overgrowths and those active infections are there, because you need it physically to protect you. Remember, our fat cells are doing a job. We appreciate that they're doing their job. We want to help them not have to do their job anymore so they can safely go on their way. Addressing gut overgrowths, yeast, bacteria, so important, especially if you're showing outward symptoms of those types of overgrowth, like skin issues, digestive issues, if you have constipation, if you have bloating, if you have loose bowel movements, those are all pretty major signs that there's some type of overgrowth in the gut. Making sure you're handling that appropriately will make a huge impact on how easy it is for you to lose weight. So we have adrenals, we have hormones, we have overgrowth and infections, primarily bacteria and yeast, also viruses. And then the last 2 are more practical, things that you might be doing lifestyle-wise that aren't benefiting you. So number 4 is the type of nutrition plan that you're following. One size fits all doesn't work. Across the board doesn't work. In fact, when I work one-on-one with somebody, we cycle through at least 3 different types of nutrition plans so that we can identify for that woman which one her body likes the best. And with these types of plans, I'm going to explain them to you. Until you try them, you really don't know, right? I get so much hesitation from people being like, oh, I don't want to do that one. It doesn't sound like me, and it ends up being the one their body loves, right? So don't judge them before you try them. But everybody reacts to different food groups differently. So the 3 things we always cycle through, and I really encourage you, if you've been eating a similar way for a long time, try a couple of weeks of each of the things I'm going to describe to you, and just notice how different your body feels. Does it feel good? Does the weight move? Does it not? Just notice those things. So the first one is just your kind of whole food eating, right? That's the one most people do, but it's also the one I find people feel well on, but the scale doesn't always move, right? So the big things for just whole food eating is gluten-free, dairy-free, reducing or completely eliminating any processed or added sugars, and really focusing on whole foods that come from the earth. So we're eating healthy proteins, we're eating lots of vegetables, you're still eating fruits, we're doing low glycemic carbs like sweet potatoes, quinoa, really just whole food eating. Some people, that's the magic bullet for them, right? Not having to be too strict one way or the other, just really doing a good, clean eating habit that doesn't feel stressful. Lots of people, that is what does best for you. But if you're doing that and you're like, I don't know, like I feel better, yeah, but I'm not losing weight still, I'm still stuck, maybe it's time to try one of these other 2. Now, let me give you an example, tell you a story about this. So myself and my holistic nutritionist, Amanda, who you guys have probably met on some of these videos already, her and I prefer completely different eating styles. Neither one is right or wrong. It is just what is best for our body. And we only learned this from doing it multiple times. So we've each tried these 2 nutrition plans multiple times. And every time I can pinpoint, I feel my best, my weight is my best, I love this one. And she says, I love the way I feel on this one. My weight finally moves. I feel so much better. I love this one. We're completely different, but that's okay, right? You need to try these to know them. So the two things I want you to play around with, if you have not yet, one is going plant-based. So plant-based is eating more of your proteins from like legumes and beans and quinoa and getting those types of protein sources. We're going plant-based and we're minimizing animal protein. That is something that we work through for at least a couple of weeks with every single woman that I work with, because it helps your body have a little bit of a break, metabolize foods different. We get a lot of resistant starches that help reseed the gut. So we do plant-based. In all honesty, I hate plant-based. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. It's not my favorite way of eating. I do it because there are benefits to it. So a couple of times a year, I will still continue to do it. But that is not my day in and day out, everyday way to eat. It's just not where I thrive and I feel my best. Amanda loves plant-based. She feels her best. She's her healthiest weight. She has no brain fog. It keeps her energy better. She would eat plant-based majority of the year because that's where her body feels best. Didn't know that about her until we tried it multiple times and over again, just kept noticing that's the way she liked it. So if you're someone who's never tried to go a few weeks plant-based, try it. I get a lot of resistance to that. People never want to, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could go without meat, or I don't want to be a vegetarian. And it doesn't have to be super strict and all the time, but give it a try for a couple of weeks. Seeing if just removing animal proteins gives your body something different that shakes it up and gets your metabolism to kick back in. That is the biggest purpose I have people try different food plans, is sometimes you just have to change it up. Give your body something totally different than it's used to, and it will give you a different result. So I highly encourage, if you've never tried a couple of weeks of plant-based, try it. You don't have to live there forever. Give it a try. So plant-based is one of them, or it's low carb, high protein. That's my jam. I feel my absolute best. I live 80% of my life low carb, high protein. My weight does the best. I feel the best. My mental clarity is the best. Totally different than the way Amanda feels. When she decreases too many carbs, she doesn't feel as good. We're different people. We have different metabolisms. I tried them both multiple times. I will still do plant-based as a form of detox or when my body needs something different, but I live most of my life low carb, high protein. If you haven't done that, if you haven't tried like a safe, I don't love really, really strict keto. There's things that for women with adrenal issues that can cause problems for, but if you haven't tried a safe version of low carb, making sure you're getting good, healthy proteins, try that, right? Shake it up. Mainly what I want you to start with today is start thinking, what can I do differently? What haven't I tried yet? Have I not done plant-based? Have I not gone all whole foods, being like, I'm going to do no processed foods for 2 whole weeks? Have you not done that yet? Have you not tried increasing your protein and decreasing your carbs? Pick something you haven't tried and give it a try. Commit to it for a couple of weeks, because sometimes just shaking it up turns back on that fat burning center in your brain and allows your body to get to that next place that you want to be. So number 4, maybe you haven't tried the right plan for you yet. Try different styles of eating and see, maybe you're going to find something that you didn't realize your body really, really liked, which parlays into number 5. No matter what style of eating you choose, including plant-based, you need to make sure you're having adequate protein. Plant-based does not mean low protein. Plant-based means you're getting your protein from different sources. But a lot of women who are stagnant in weight loss is because you're not giving your body enough protein, which gives it enough energy and building blocks to actually start burning fat again. So making sure, and really this is probably the simplest change you can make out of everything I talked about today, look at what you're eating. If you don't have an app like MyFitnessPal or there's a macro trackers, go download one. Most of them are free. Here's what I want you to do for me for a couple of days. I want you to just log what you normally eat. Don't really change a whole lot. Eat what you're normally eating and notice at the end of each day how many grams of protein you're getting on just your normal day. Most of you will be shocked at how little you're actually getting. Most women do their absolute best between 80 and 100 grams of protein per day, especially for weight loss, which is counterintuitive to what we've been told our whole lives. Decrease portion sizes, decrease calories, minimize your intake to get more fat loss. Again, if your body's exhausted, if you're giving it that stressor, if your adrenals are burning out, you are going to create more fat by eating less calories. That's not always the goal, but protein for a lot of women is the thing you're missing the most to help sustain energy. You won't be as hungry. Ultimately, you'll eat less during the day of the bad things. You won't make as many bad decisions because you'll be full longer from the healthy proteins. But a lot of women are not getting enough protein. So track it, find a free app, make sure you're noticing, what do I normally consume? And then trying to get that up to 80 or 100 grams and see if just that alone, giving your body enough healthy protein, will spark fat burning and the scale will finally start to move again. That is your simple, easy, free fix, right? I always like to give simple and easy, next level up, and the person who's really ready for change. So your simple, easy fix, track your macros, increase your protein. Your second kind of mid-range fix is try the different food plans, commit to something for several weeks. It's going to be a little bit more intense, but try something different that you haven't tried yet. And if you are ready and you're like, I'm so sick of this, I want help, I want guidance, I want to know what to do, well, you test your hormones and your adrenals. Like that, for the person who's really frustrated, is your next step, because most likely that's the thing that you're missing. And then getting the help and the guidance to be able to correct those issues properly. So I will drop the link to that Dutch test below. When you purchase a Dutch test, it also includes your test read appointment with one of my highly trained doctors. So you'll get someone to review the results with you. They'll go over what they found. And then from there, we'll offer you help. If you want our help, wonderful. We have lots of different programs and options and level of commitment. We will be able to share all of that with you and give you the help you need. If you just want the testing and you don't want our help, that's fine too, but we will, on that test read appointment, be able to guide you through what next steps will look like, because I believe what women are missing, the right testing to know what's going on with their body, the right plan, so you are doing the right thing for your body, and the help and the accountability for when things get tough. Those are the three things that most women don't have, which is why you're frustrated, which is why you feel like nothing's working, which is why you're spinning your wheels again, and you've been doing the same things for 10 years and they're still not giving you the results that you're looking for, because you don't know what's really wrong, you don't have the right plan, and you don't have someone to link arms and do it with you. That is my favorite thing to do. And that's what we do inside our private programs. Again, we can go over all of that with you guys. But your first step would be, if you're looking for that, if you want that plan and that help, get a Dutch test. It's my favorite test. I believe you need it anyways. Every woman needs it. But from there, we're going to be able to help you make decisions and move in that right direction. So those are your steps. You're either getting testing, you're shaking up your food plans, or you're going to track and change your grams of protein to really see if we can't kickstart this fat burning thing into gear, high gear, and get you to a healthy weight where you feel good both inside and outside, because that is what it takes to create true vibrant health, is radiating health from the inside out. So hope you learned something. I know getting stuck at a weight and getting stuck at a scale number is so frustrating. So go back, listen back through this, take out some tips, and get started with something today. Take at least one action step today, moving you in the right direction. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll come back and answer any questions that were in the comments, and then I'll see you back here next week.